I like that. Well, our final session's all about celebrating the unstoppable force of women in leadership. There's no doubt we are unstoppable. The next session and the final session for today is called She Leads, She Succeeds, The Power of Women in Action, brings together a powerhouse panel of trailblazers who've smashed barriers, broken glass ceilings, and paved the way for others to rise. Get ready for inspiring stories as they share resilience, bold moves, and groundbreaking innovation that are changing industries and redefining success. So please join me in inviting to the stage our panelists today for our final session at CXO 2.0. Lexis Noel Surratt, the founder and CEO of Little Wins. Woo! I like it. Girls get excited. Shayla Krishnamurthy, the life and leadership coach at Women Empowerment Enablement. Dr. Amal Al-Hefti, the director of Breast and Endocrine Surgical Oncology Fellowship Training Program at King Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center. And Emily, the independent consultant, come on up here. I'm not going to screw it up twice. Your last name is a tricky one for me, but you're going to help me, aren't you? So nice. Lady in Leopard, we can't wait to hear this amazing discussion. I'll never forget the first job I had here in Dubai 16 years ago. A gentleman says to me, "You're not married. You don't have kids? You need to get married and get out of the workforce." I said, "What? Do you know who you're talking to?" I want to hear your stories. Coming up next. Everyone has a microphone? Hi. How are you? Oh, great. You're the moderator? Oh, we've been waiting for you. So nice for you to join us. Tabassum. Mustafa. How you doing, girl? Nice to see you. My apologies.
No worries.
Save the best for last, clearly. Here she is. Whoop, whoop from the back. Okay, and everyone has a mic? Now I have no voice. See you guys later. Enjoy the conversation. We're going out with a bang with the ladies here in style. Can't wait to hear the stories.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Mic check.
I'd like to start off today by thanking CXO for letting the ladies close out the show. I'm so honored to be sitting here today with these amazing women, just trailblazers. We were catching up outside. And the more you talk to them, the more you fall in love with them. So I'm sure you guys are going to really enjoy the conversation we're about to have. But just to get started, why don't we start by introducing ourselves on the mic so everyone can hear. And then I'll sort of ask a few questions. Should we start?
Start this out? Okay. So if you were here like a couple hours ago, then you have already met me. My name is Emily Miedema. I am a finance executive. I'm between roles right now, most recently a chief financial officer. I've spent years working with organizations to really drive growth, navigate complexities, and obviously achieve their strategic goals. And on a personal level, as it relates to work as well, I'm very passionate about neurodiversity and building awareness for neurodiversity in the workplace, as well as obviously female leadership and mentorship.
Can you hear me now? Yes. My name is Amal Al-Hifdi, and I'm an associated professor of surgical oncology. I'm the program director of surgical fellowship for breast and endocrine cancer or oncology. I'm the chair of the research in the surgical department, and I'm the only female in the board of Saudi Association of Breast and Endocrine Surgeons.
Hi, my name is Shayla Krishnamurthy. I'm a life and leadership coach and women empowerment enabler. I work with women leaders, women entrepreneurs, young girls, starters, restarters, help them to nurture their identity and win big in life when it comes to both personal as well as professional life. Like Rachel said, I think there's a last panel discussion for the day, and we're going to end it in style.
I'm Lexis Surratt. I, like you, I think you know what, we can talk about what I do later because I want to hear what these women have to say. I'm so honored to be here. I'm a mother, first and foremost, and a founder and CEO for people with disabilities. and I'm looking forward to this. These people are outstanding.
Thank you, ladies. Just to give you guys a little idea of my background, I'm in real estate development as well as interior design, venturing out into hospitality, and hopefully a few other things soon. So, ladies, I'm so glad that we got to introduce ourselves to everyone here. If I could just start us with the conversation that I feel like we keep circling back to, both at this conference and also in corporate culture as a whole, which is the conversation surrounding female leaders and how we sort of, the traits that differentiate feminine traits and masculine traits towards leadership. There are advantages, there are challenges, and there are burdens as well. And I would love to get each of your thoughts on how you think that the defining traits of being a woman in leadership can affect you in all three areas. Should we start the other way around? Like, Alexis, you want to start?
The traits. That's such a loaded question because there's so many layers and so many different things I want to talk about. So I'm just going to start here. I recently, because I have 3 daughters, read a survey and a whole report on how girls in elementary school and high school, because that's my girls are in elementary school, they were testing as like, you know, however they quantify these things. You know, it's like sometimes you're like, what? They were testing as better leaders, like showing signs that they would be great leaders. But then when asked in the verbal portion of the test if they thought they'd be a good leader, they said no more frequently. Then the numbers were off. And I look at my girls and I think about like just generational trauma, can we just call it that? You know, like the things that were passed on from old archaic thoughts. And it's got to stop. I think it has to start there. So the traits right now currently for female leaders are ones that saw those things and did it anyway. And I'll leave it there so other people can talk because there's so much more to say. But yeah, they did it anyway.
Absolutely great answer, Shyla. Can we get your thoughts?
Yes, of course. Thanks for that question, Tabassum. Yeah, I can actually talk for myself. I can talk about what I follow and what I also, talk about and encourage other women leaders or professionals or starters, restarters who can adapt to that. So I call it the triad of life. It's the 3 A's. The first one is accept. You need to accept who you are, right, as an individual, and accept the environment you're in, accept the people around you, right? And only when you accept, you will be able to go to the next A, that is adapt, right? And I think we as women, inherently, we have that capability to adapt to any situation, right? Be it our personal life or our professional life, for that matter. And once you can accept and adapt, you will be able to be more agile, get into action mode, right? And as women, I think we're always in that state where, these things happen in a flash, actually. It doesn't even, we don't have much time sometimes, right? You need to accept, adapt, and then be agile, right? So that is something that I have been following as my own personal trait when it comes to, my leadership. I think more of it comes inherently, like I said, right? And we need to focus on those power skills that we have so that we can move forward.
Absolutely, Shyla. Thank you for that insight. Dr. Amal, would you like to tell us what you think?
I think there are a lot of, the literature about the female versus male leadership. I guess that to start with, the definition of leadership has been changed a lot, and that is in favor of the female leadership now. If I'm speaking about our skills or our trait, actually, female, they are have more tolerance. They are able, they change quickly, they adapt to change quicker. In the same time, actually, if we think about, for example, other skills like negotiation, female, they are thinking about win-and-win situation. Usually, we are looking about other team, and we are thinking about others. So, I'm not focusing on myself alone. I'm focusing on the whole team. We have more collaborative approach, which is really in need nowadays. Those are actually skills which is really in need for a successful leadership now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Amal. If we could get your thoughts, the lovely Emily.
Absolutely. So I know that you were talking about adaptability because as women, we tend to have the ability to balance competing priorities. And especially, like you were saying at the end, when you're a mother, this is something that just tends to come naturally to us. And so that can be, come across in the workforce as well. The other trait I would say is resiliency. And I know I mentioned it when I gave my speech for my award. And that just comes from years of women facing more challenges in those leadership roles. But it allows us to adapt very effectively to change and quickly to change. And also the emotional side of it is to bring along that team with those changes that we're talking about.
I think that's absolutely right. And if I could share my take on the situation now, I hate to bring a negative angle into it, but we kind of talked about generational trauma and we talked about adaptability. But a lot of the reason I think women are more agile when it comes to emotional regulation, when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to reading people and reacting to them in a way that may from the outside seem timid. But the fact of the matter is women for all of humanity have had to learn that if they react in the wrong way, it's not just a bad conversation, right? It's physical danger. When you're speaking to someone of the opposite race that is easily 10 times stronger than you, you have to realize that your survival depends on the way that you conduct yourself, and not just yourself, the way that you regulate the emotions of the person that you're speaking to. Does that give you an advantage over time? Yes, 100% it does. Is it a burden at the same time? 120%. Because I don't think that these things are often talked about in forums like this. And because, of course, everybody wants to focus on the positives because we've made strides. We're in a place that definitely women in the workforce 20 years before were not in. But I think it's so important to realize the way we are, the way we show up every day, the way that we show up to our children, to our partners, to people we're in business with, to complete strangers on the street, has a lot to do with what our mothers and their mothers before them have sort of picked up in terms of survival. And I really do think that's why women lead in such a different way than men do. And I don't think that that's either a good or a bad thing. I think that it's an important and eminent thing, because if you don't bring two sides of the coin to the table, there's no dimensionality, right?
Can I add on to that?
Yes, please.
I love the two sides because I sometimes want to skip to the end. Like, I don't want to talk about all the hard things. Like we said, we already know. We know what's going on. I'm here for progress, and I'm here for pushing through, and I'm here to advance. So if we could just all stop talking in the back. A little quieter in the back. If we could all just put down the generational traumas, like everything, like recognize what doesn't suit you, what doesn't feel right, put it down, leave it there, and let all of that go with you. Don't pass it on. And I wish that we could do more of not hiring because we need a woman, right? Let's hire for the best person for the job. Kind of like they did in, of old village mentality. It's how we survived for generations. Y'all are good hunters. You seem to do, you carry big things. You do that, or whatever. And then, and by the way, it wasn't all men carrying, but there are women
100%.
in the military. There are women doing all kinds of things. Can we just stop talking about this is a man's job Can we stop teaching our girls that follow him because he's stronger? Can we just don't follow the one that's going to walk off the cliff? Male or female, just follow what feels inherent and believe that in every single individual, it doesn't need to be this cut and dry. This is a man's job. That's what, sir, you're going to do that. You're going to pick up those things, and you're going to clean it up. No, I've had it, and it's not advancing us any further. The ones who deserve the job, the ones who have the inherent skills, should have that job, male or female. And I want that for my son too, by the way, not just my girls.
That's wonderful. That's actually a really good segue into another thing that we were talking about, is how there's a lot of conversation about there are panels for female empowerment, right? And there's a conversation about when are we going to get to a place where that's not a thing that we need to do anymore. And it would be wonderful to get there, but I think so much a part of female empowerment is also taking the burden out of the stereotype of what being a man is as well. Yeah. That
He's like a little louder for the people in the back. We heard you.
Yeah, I think that in all walks of life, people should be doing, should be behaving, should be treated the way that they feel inherently comfortable with. People should be doing the jobs that they want to be doing. People should be reacting to the world in a way that they want to be. And I think that's why empowerment is so important, because it doesn't just take off the burden of repression in women. It takes off the burden of certain responsibilities in men that don't need to be there. We can all share the load. 100%. We're all just people. Shaila, did you want to cut in? You looked like you had something to say.
Yeah, as a women empowerment enabler, I'm sitting here today and wondering, I'm talking about women empowerment. Why? Because there's a huge delta, right? When we talk about men in power, women in power, right? That's the reason we are sitting here and talking about women empowerment. Otherwise, we wouldn't do that. Have you seen any, set of men coming and sitting here and talking about men empowerment? No, right? So
they've had that for all of time.
yeah, I think in the long run, it shouldn't be differentiated by any gender. It should be more to do with equality, or more so with equity, right? Equity. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it'll take a lot of effort and a lot of time, a lot of energy as well to reach there. And we are working towards that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another one of the things that we were talking about when it comes to the last panel, the last panel actually, is emotional intelligence. And we were having a conversation about how it can sometimes fall as a burden on the women in the room to sort of nurture and mother and regulate the emotions of not just ourselves, but other people, and specifically men. Dr. Amal, did you have anything to speak?
I think emotional intelligence is really, really very important. What I was keeping saying, that we are acting using the emotional intelligence before we know this term. So yes, it is really a new term for us, and we are teaching it now. But in reality, when we go back, all the women who lead before, they did that, but they don't know the term itself. So all of us, if you hear from any leader, any female leader, she will tell you that I have to be aware of myself. I need to be aware of the culture. I need to be aware about the situation. I need to have a clear and nice communication, which is the definition of the emotional intelligence. So we don't have the term before, but we did it. And nowadays, I think it should be more easier for us, because we know that there is an emotional intelligence and we need to use it. And actually, it will help us maybe more in developing a good network. Because what we're missing now, maybe as a female leader, is the network. And that's, again, not because of our skills, but because as a female, we are really busy with a lot of stuff. I'm a leader in the home, I'm a leader in the work, I'm a leader with my family. So we need it actually to use it as a tool to be better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sometimes we can fall into the trap of thinking that there can only be one leader, right? But there's so many different forms of leadership and so many opportunities to show up in life, not just in one particular sector. and not just that one person has to take the lead, right? You can both be leaders. You can all be leaders. You can show up your best self in any situation. I'm sorry, I might have cut you off. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to add to that and the conversation about emotional intelligence, only because I was on that panel as well, and that whole philosophy or idea that it's primarily women and we're being overly accommodating. And I just wanted to add to that the complexity that if you're at a level in your career like I am, and so you're an executive, you're often the only female in the room. And when you're trying to bring that emotional intelligence awareness and the importance of it from the top down, not just in your departments that you're running, but from the top down, and the rest of the room is male, sometimes that can be an added challenge when you're trying to do that.
100%.
And I want to have to do, can I just add to that? When you said that earlier, I think, do you know what I do? And it's like not my favorite thing, but it works. It's more efficient because we're here for efficiency. We're here to get out. I have a male assistant, so I'll text him under the table. Can you please repeat what I just said? I'm not kidding, you guys. Everyone's like, wow, that's a great idea. Because like I don't need the glory. I'm here for solutions and quick, and yeah, like I don't need that, but I just want you to hear me when I say. So if I need Sean, and I look at him, I go, with the face, look at your phone, and then he'll repeat exactly what I said, and they're like, wow.
Yeah, I honestly, that's exactly where my brain was at. That's exactly where my brain was at.
It's fine. We're gonna move past this, but let's be here for. Is it totally fine? No, but
It's not great.
But it's not the best. But whatever. The awareness is key.
Yeah.
For literally everyone. Just so we have this conversation. We have
and
it
it's
out.
Gonna
And
take
then we'll
the
move
time
on.
that it takes, right?
Yeah.
But we're on that path. That's what counts.
Exactly.
Is that there's forward movement.
Mhm.
I think it's absolutely the same where I think sometimes the easiest way to convince a room of men is to allow them to believe that they came up with the idea that you told them 5 minutes ago, and then just enthusiastically agree that that's a great idea. I think that would be so transformative. And I don't, honestly, I don't only mean that in a room full of men. I think it's equally true with women as well. I think as people sometimes.
It is people.
As people, sometimes I think we get so stuck in the way that we're used to doing things that when there is certain disruption, it's not the fact that the disruption won't take place or that it won't be accepted. It's just the time, right? It's the learning curve.
It's the way that we have to repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, to everybody in the room, if you have an idea that you believe in and you feel like you're not being listened to, say it again. Say it again.
Use someone else to say it for you.
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. Yep.
So there are few things we have to see. Now the trend has come for the women empowerment, security and all.
Yeah, closer. I want to hear it. Just hold it closer.
I love that the audience is participating so much, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please go on.
So we have to respect each other's space. I don't know about the other. I can tell about the India. If any marriage going to happen, the woman's family used to see male how much they are earning, not the woman. Please understand the practicality. So means men need to work and earn a good amount so that the bride can be, the father of the bride can agree to do the marriage. That is one aspect. Now second is that about the thinking of a male for female or thinking of female about the male. You cannot change the mind of other person. You cannot regulate, you cannot control. It's about the culture, how it has been developed since the childhood. How you are developing your kid. Like how you have been developed by your parents. So the culture has to be there so that each of the gender respect each other. if you don't teach them to respect each other, you cannot, how much you tell about the women empowerment or male empowerment, it is not going to affect. What I am thinking about him, you cannot control me. Unless I have been given proper education. Education means not the college, the cultural education.
Personal education.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Yeah.
So if you ignore the religious factor, it is nothing to do with religious. I'd request people should read Bhagavad Gita. If you go through, you start respecting each and every human being in the earth, or even animal also, irrespective of color, religion, language, anything. Then you can change the shift in the society.
Right. So if I could just cut in, I totally understand where you're coming from. The thing is, I think that it's, and somebody with a background in psychology, that's what I did my bachelor's in, I think that it's a little bit lazy for us to believe that after the age of 25, that your brain is fully developed. Learning can happen at any stage in life, at any age in life. And I don't think that there is a ceiling to how much change a person can achieve. I think everybody in this room has grown significantly over the past year. And I think that every year we are at these conferences, we're having these conversations with other people in different paths of life, from different religions, from different backgrounds, from different countries. And we continue to grow because we're putting ourselves into these uncomfortable positions and having these hard discussions. Because the only way to change is to have the hard discussions. Because
I would
it's so
just quickly
easy
like
to be
add
nice.
something to that.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely, Shana.
I come from the same part of the world, sir. I'm from India as well. But currently I'm based out of Germany. So I'm a single mom, right? I also come up with the same culture, the same upbringing, but I'm bringing up my boy. That's my boy there. He's 13. So I think we need to move beyond culture. It's more to do with values. And these values can be inculcated at any point of time in life, right? It starts from childhood. It starts, you can do that a bit later during their college times, or maybe as adults, or maybe when they are old, right? So I think it's more to do with values. And once we get there, and like she mentioned, it's all about unlearning and relearning every now and then as to what is okay and what is not okay.
So as I was telling, if you go through Bhagavad Gita, it is nothing to do with religion, and it will make you shift in the thinking. That has to happen from the childhood. You can do at the later stage also, but if you more early you got into this culture, I'm sure the cultural shift at any generation would happen. And
Thank you so much. We
better
really
place to
appreciate it.
live
We have
in.
other people that want
It's
to comment.
very
but
good.
but thank
I
you
want to
for-
know the
thank
name
you.
of that book. He's going to share it with everyone. What do you got, Tish?
So I want to comment on that because the reality from my perspective, we have different perspectives. From my eyes, many cultures are misogynistic. Many cultures do not respect the female as an equal. Many cultures, not every woman wants to be married. Not every woman needs to know about the amount that that person is making to be taken care of. Some woman just wants to take care of herself. So if I am able to study, if I am able to get a PhD, if I am able to make income to provide my mortgage, my car, and everything like that, I should get paid the same as a male. So we're talking about equality. We're talking about respect. We've been having a panel discussion. We had to ask our moderator to ask some gentlemen to respect the fact that we are here live and we are having a panel discussion. So there is a lack of respect for the humans, for the female species. That's a fact. It is a fact that needs to be acknowledged. And until we're able to acknowledge that fact of the inequity of the female, we will continue to have these discussions with no solutions. So we need to instead of, I think it's awesome that we're providing solutions in terms of the books to read, but if we can look down in history and look at, I mean, there's so many statistics, so many examples of how women have just been attacked. We have not had equal opportunities. I mean, you had to fight to vote in America. There are just so many reasons. I mean, to the point where as an executive, I mean, just poor words, calling women by the B's. I have been in the C-suite and I've seen it all. And so my prayer is that one day we shall overcome and not have to deal with this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Very well said. Very well said.
Absolutely. So along those lines, I think it's so important, I think, for everyone to have a voice, and I do believe that. But I think there are certain forums, right? Certain discussions, certain sit-downs that are tailored specifically for discussion of certain voices. When minorities speak, when women speak, as much as male voices are important too, I think this forum specifically, and I don't mean to single anybody out or take their space, but this stage was put together for this time to listen to women's perspectives because they're not heard, and unfortunately that just is true. This is not an everyday occurrence for every seat on the stage to be taken by a woman and for women to have the space and the time to speak openly.
But
And
also taking into consideration
Mhm.
multicultural environments and
Yes.
other, like the tiptoe. Right.
yeah, yeah.
We're trying to also be considerate,
Mhm.
and we're trying to have a conversation that advances.
A hard conversation in this region. We got to be sensitive where
Honestly,
we are.
anywhere.
Anywhere, but particularly Middle East.
Yeah.
Middle East, ladies, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
We're lucky we're even having this conversation right now. That's how amazing we've come a long way, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to stir some emotions and trigger us. I'm sure you're boiling at the boys talking, you know? How can you not? Right? It's not happening when they're on stage, but we're also in a place we got to play by the rules of the region. And I just want to say I applaud you each for being here and speaking up and sharing your stories. You lead, you succeed, and you're doing an incredible job and really inspiration to all women all over the world, and specifically in this region that needs to see women like you take a stand. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Give them all a round of applause. Nice way to end day 3, no doubt. Is there anything else you want to close with?
Yeah, so I would just like to go around and tell you guys the best way to get in touch with us.
Awesome.
And if any women are out there looking for mentorship or opportunities, these are the women to speak to. So shall we start with you, Emily?
Yeah, I can be reached on LinkedIn. My bio, and of course, is in the app for this conference. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm looking for my next opportunity. So call me.
Me too. You can reach me on LinkedIn, and I'm really very helpful in coaching, in research, and in medical academia.
I'm available on LinkedIn as well or other social media platforms, but do connect with me anytime you need support or you just want to be heard. I'm here for you.
That's what I was just gonna say. So I'm on LinkedIn. You know, I won't check the messages. Not gonna lie to you. Yikes. On Instagram, I'd rather you email me, but moreover, I want to share your stories. This podcast thing, I didn't really want to do it, but if these conversations, they're so important. Every perspective is so important, and I'm open to hearing it, and I want to share it. Because, yeah, okay, maybe we're all uncomfortable, but we got somewhere today. And I'm the one, I'm the one just dumb enough to let's go. Please reach out, and I want to get to know you.
Awesome. I
All
love that. We
right.
got one question from Paul. Bring it home. Bring it home.
I have a comment. I heard you say if you want to be reach out to the women to be mentored, I would ask you to extend that to the men to be mentored.
I would be more than honored.
Actually, I do that.
Absolutely. Anybody that wants to reach out, that has any conversation that has to do with bettering myself and them, because mentorship is not a one-way street, right? It never is. No conversation is a one-way street. Everyone grows from conversation. And I'm also available on LinkedIn, Tabassum Mustafa, Tabassum Mostafa. Please reach out. And to the ladies, thank you so much. And to
Well
CXO,
done.
thank you so
Thank
much
you, and
for
have a great
hosting us.
evening, everyone.